and watch these polling places. Make sure it's on the up and up.
Donald Trump has been making claims about widespread voter fraud for months, triggering new concerns as people cast early ballots across the nation. Now, the Republican nominee hasn't produced any evidence of his claims. In fact, one of the most comprehensive studies done about voter fraud found that it rarely happens. Since 2000, Americans have cast more than 1 billion votes, and in that time, there have been 2,068 cases of alleged voter fraud. And just 10 of them involve allegations of voter impersonation. In that same period of time, 20 states have instituted laws which restrict voting in some way. Leonard Downey Jr. led a student reporting project looking at voter fraud. He's the former executive editor of The Washington Post. Nice to have you. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you.
In a nutshell, tell me a little bit about the student project. How many students were involved over how much time?
Every year we gather about 30 students, selected students from around the country, 20 universities roughly around the country, really bright journalism students, for a project that's called News 21. It's 7 or 8 years old now. And each year we pick a topic of national interest. And in 2012, we decided, among other things we were doing, to investigate, is there really that much voting fraud? Because voting fraud was being used by politicians in a number of states around the country as a reason to enact laws for requiring strict voter ID at the polls.
So what'd you find in this
So we found, and we queried all 50 states, and we found only from the year 2000 to the year 2011, we found only 2,000 cases of voter fraud, period, in the country, and only 10 of those were really voters impersonating dead people or something like that.
So
the rest were election officials and so on.
So out of 1 billion actual votes,
probably,
ultimately, the ones that dealt with an issue that could be solved by voter ID.
Right, was 10.
Over 11 years or so.
Exactly, over 11 years.
Wow.
Exactly. And then in 2016, we decided, well, let's check on this, what's happened since 2012. So we picked 5 states where voter fraud was a big issue and voter ID was a big issue. And we looked at those states from where we left off last time through 2016, 0. No voter impersonation whatsoever.
As you mentioned, there have been many measures, and often Republican-led measures, in order to restrict voting. It's obviously become a very political issue. When you see these numbers, are these just, how do you read those measures?
It makes me wonder about the veracity of the allegations by the people, the governors and state legislatures, passing these measures to require voter ID, because it doesn't seem to be a problem to be fixed. There's no problem there to be fixed.
A reasonable person might say, it's an ID.
Yes.
What's the big deal?
Well, because in order to, first of all, many older people no longer have driver's licenses. Many younger people have not yet gotten driver's licenses. There are places where people live where they don't drive at all anyway. And even when states say, okay, you don't need to have a driver's license, but you get the special ID for voting, you have to go someplace to get it, to the DMV. And so, for instance, in Texas, there are huge counties where there's one or no DMVs, so it would take hours and lots of money for people to go and get this ID. Also, there have been now citizenship requirements, proof of citizenship. You've got to find your birth certificate. So let's say you were born in Alabama, now you live in Kansas. Then you've got to somehow get your birth certificate from Alabama, and then you've got to find the DMV in Kansas to get your ID, and that can be very difficult for a lot of people.
As well.
Yes.
It's interesting. There's a lot of focus on voter fraud, and as a topic, it's almost sexier than voter suppression.
Yes.
But the numbers around alleged voter suppression are significantly higher.
Yes. Yes, in a variety of ways. A lot of people vote early voting in Arizona by absentee ballot, half the state. Many of them are mailed in. Others you can just take to a voting place before election day. And it was a habit there in poor neighborhoods, particularly Latino neighborhoods, where somebody would come around and collect those and take them down to the polling place. And they passed a law that say you can't do that anymore. So we're going to have to be looking to see in this particular election, does that mean that there's a suppression of turnout among Latinos in Arizona?
How many elections have you covered, would you guess?
I've supervised the coverage of the elections at the Washington Post from 1984 until 2008, and they're kind enough to have me come on election night still to watch what they're doing.
So as a person with a fair amount of time in the game, covering these elections, what's your assessment?
Well, it's the wildest election campaign I've ever seen, and certainly the two candidates appear to have more flaws about them, and I think that has an effect on voter enthusiasm. But what we're talking about now is also very important because Republican-controlled legislatures and Republican governors have been passing these what appear to be restrictions on people's ability to vote, making it harder to vote rather than easier. We're going to have to see what impact that has in this election, too. I think that's very important.
Len Downey Jr., nice to have you. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.